Okay, so welcome to this revision video, which is about what you can see in front of you, the fact that tropical rainforest ecosystems have a range of distinctive characteristics. So the key thing is basically that means we want to know what are they like. So as we know from your learning on ecosystems, we have tropical rainforests around the world. So we see them in South America and Central America. We also see them in Africa, in Western Africa, and also in Asia, Southeast Asia. So these are places where you see tropical rainforests, but what are those common characteristics? So if we just do some pretty basic drawings, the first thing that I'm sure you are aware of is that there are different layers in the rainforest. So if you were flying over an aeroplane, a rainforest in an aeroplane, you would see this continuous mass of green, and this layer is the canopy, and those trees are continuous along there. Out of the top, and so obviously they've got their trunks coming down, but it's all happening there. Above them, there will be some trees that just manage to grow a little bit bigger, and they rise up above the canopy like this. Okay, and these are called emergents because they emerge out of the canopy. These very tall trees that might be 50 metres high, which is incredibly high, are emerging out. Then there's the canopy. Now if we come down to the floor of the rainforest, underneath here, about halfway up to the canopy, there is the there's a layer called here, which is called the under canopy. Under canopy. And the under canopy are smaller trees, and obviously they're growing up and they're trying to get up there. They want to be in the canopy. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then on the floor of the tropical rainforest, if you're walking around, you would be here, and this is called the shrub layer. Okay, so there are four layers: the shrub layer, the under canopy, the canopy, and the emergence. And many of these plants are desperate to get up there. And why do they want to grow high? They want to grow high because the sun is up here. Now if you were down here on the floor of the rainforest, you probably wouldn't need to have anything like any sun cream or anything, because the sun doesn't really get in there. But up here in the canopy, these plants, these trees that get up high, are able to photosynthesize and make energy. So that's the place to be. So the first thing to know is that there are the four layers, which I'm sure you're very aware of. While we're here, let's just talk about the soil. So the soil in the rainforest, you would be forgiven for thinking when you went to the rainforest, this soil must be amazingly fertile, must be full of nutrients, all these trees and plants growing. Actually, the soil is very low in nutrients. Why do you think that soil would be low in nutrients? Why is it really quite poor? Okay, so the reason that the soil is low in nutrients is because the plants are growing really quickly. So every day it's sunny because it's in the tropics, and every day it rains, and that means that these plants are growing really quickly. And that means that their roots, which come down not that far actually into the soil, are taking in the nutrients very quickly. So the reason that the soil is low in nutrients are for two reasons. Number one, the plants take up nutrients quickly, and that's because of these perfect growing conditions. So the plants are growing very quickly and they take them up. The other issue is rain washes them away. So that's difficult to read. So the rain is washing away the nutrients, and that's called leaching. but if you have that in mind, so the soil, and if you're a little nutrient, so you manage to get there you are, you're a little nutrient there, almost immediately you'll be taken up a tree to grow new leaves, or there'll be heavy rain, and if the rain gets on there it might wash you away, but you're certainly not going to hang around in the soil very long. Okay, so the thin, poor quality soils, let's have a little chat about, let's turn this round, let's talk about nutrient cycling. Okay, so another key thing about the tropical rainforest, and I'm going to keep this simple and not do all the layers, but there's my tree, I'm going to give it some buttress roots, and what's happening is that the leaves are constantly falling off the trees, because they don't have an autumn and a winter and a summer. It's always the same. It's always a good growing season, but trees do shed leaves throughout the year. And so there are loads and loads of fungus, bacteria, worms on the tropical rainforest floor, and they break down the nutrients in that leaf, release them into the soil, and as we've just said, very, very quickly they'll whiz back in the tree, and the tree will grow a new leaf. And this is all happening because of the perfect growing conditions with lots of sun and lots of rain every day. So it's just perfect. So this cycle, the nutrient cycle, is happening very quick. So the nutrient cycle is rapid, it's quick, and when you're on the floor of a tropical rainforest there are lots and lots of decomposers. Okay, so let's pick up on one more thing, and the question is, if I draw a canopy, you're very likely in the exam to be asked why it rains every day. Okay, now, the type of rain they get in the tropical rainforest has got a special name. So I should explain, this isn't a caterpillar, this is trees. This is the canopy, the canopy. We could put a couple of emergents in there. Okay, so every day what happens is the sun rises in the morning, and there's a lot of water held in the canopy, in the soil, in the leaves. There's lots of water there, just held there. The sun rises in the morning and it starts to heat up. And if you think of a sunny day in the UK, if there's a puddle on the floor, what happens to the water? Does it stay there or does it disappear during the day? And of course it disappears during the day because it's evaporated. So as the morning goes on, the water evaporates and the air warms up, and warm air rises. And the water evaporates. Now if the water evaporates, it stops being a liquid and it becomes a gas, and it's in the air. You can't really see it. And it rises up. Now as it rises up, as you go up in the air, as if you're going up a mountain, does it get hotter or colder as you go up through the atmosphere? Okay, so hopefully you've just said it gets colder. So as it rises, this water vapour, this water gas, cools and condenses to form clouds. So what happens is you end up with these clouds in about early afternoon, and these clouds get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're really great big. See this colour, really great big thunder. Like if we saw that in the UK, we'd say, crikey, look, it's going to pour with rain in a minute. And then of course it does. So at a certain point there's so much water in the clouds it can't hold it any longer, and down comes the rain in the afternoon. By the evening all that water has come back down, it's back on the canopy, it's back in the soil. It's a lovely, beautiful, clear, starry night. And then the next day, the whole thing happens again. So one molecule of water can be here, it can rise up, be part of a cloud, get rained back down, held back in the tree. Next morning, evaporated up it goes. And that's what happens. Now, all of this is massively significant because if we take away the trees, so if we take away the trees, let's rip a bit of paper. So if I come in, with a load of chainsaws, and take away the trees, when it rains, that water will hit the ground and it will run away to the river and it will head out to sea. It'll actually take a lot of soil with it as well. So if you take the trees away, the water will go into the river and carry away. And what happens when the sun comes up the next morning is over time, there's less and less water for it to be for the evaporation to happen. And actually, eventually, you can end up without the rain. So run that through again if you need to, but that's important. What happens if we take away the tree in this situation? If we take away that tree, there's no leaves falling on the soil. So that doesn't happen. And what's going to happen to the amount of nutrients in the soil? Will it go up or will it go down? So obviously it will go down even further because there's no new leaves being formed, and eventually the rain will come in and will wash those away. So it's very important that we understand these different elements: the nutrient cycle, the water cycle, and the different layers of the rainforest. And let's just pause here for the last point, which is the amount of biodiversity. So there's an enormous amount of plants and animals living in this amazing environment, and they're really well adapted. But if we take away the trees, the orangutans can't live there anymore, the toucans have got no habitat, and so this whole structure is supporting an amazing diversity, an amazing variety of life.